following program is produced at and funded by Lyndon State College, the College of the Northeast Kingdom.
Coming up tonight on News 7.
The state and federal government have stepped in regarding the Q-Burke Hotel, J-Peak Resort, and the EB5 program.
I just hope that they figure everything out and can be the old Burke it used to be.
Residents of East Burke speak out tonight as the hotel is taken over and the future uncertain.
And the manhunt continues for an escaped inmate in St. Johnsbury, how the prison work camp program is being affected because of the incident.
Live from the Vermont Center for Community Journalism, this is News 7 at 5:30.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Michael Raimondi alongside Abby Green.
We have a developing story tonight out of Q-Burke with major implications for the Northeast Kingdom. Reporter Tyler Catterat has been monitoring the story and joins us now in the studio.
Thanks, Abby and Michael. Despite the sunshine, Governor Peter Shumlin is calling today a dark day for Vermont, specifically the Northeast Kingdom. Developers at Q-Burke and J-Peak are now facing federal and state lawsuits stemming from a Ponzi-like scheme involving EB5 investor funds. We were in Montpelier to get the details, which have shocked many here in the community.
We're here today to discuss two coordinated actions that have been filed by the state of Vermont and the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission concerning the EB5 projects in the Northeast Kingdom run by Ariel Kuros and Bill Stenger.
Governor Peter Shumlin announcing today fraud charges against the primary developers of J-Peak and Q-Burke. Officials allege that the two misused hundreds of millions of EB5 dollars to cover old debts and, in Kuros' case, personal expenses.
Mr. Kuros allegedly used these funds for a variety of purposes, including his purchase of the J-Peak and Burke Mountain ski resorts, payment of millions of dollars of his income tax obligations, and the purchase of a New York City Trump Place, New York luxury condominium.
The chart on the left, which shows what we call the actual flow of funds, that's what we allege fraud looks like.
Those overseeing local EB5 projects delivering an ominous message.
Certainly, this is a sad day for the Northeast Kingdom. We all had such high hopes for the variety of projects there, and if these allegations are true, unfortunately, only a portion of the vision will become a reality.
As a result of the investigations, all assets at both ski resorts have been frozen, and an outside company is now in charge of operations.
Mr. Stenger and Mr. Kuros, pursuant to the federal court order, are prohibited from involvement in any EB5 project.
Officials insist they have a handle on the situation since being made aware of it last summer, despite the fact that the alleged fraud dates back to 2008.
Let me just say that there is no matter in the AG's office that has gotten more attention and more of our resources since August 10th than this case right here.
It's important to note in all of this that both the state and federal investigations are civil, not criminal at this time. Officials say it's hard to tell what kind of impact the lawsuits will have on EB5 foreign investments and the lien filed by Q-Burke hotel contractor Peak CM. Governor Shumlin and others were quick to point out that this is likely just the beginning. Michael?
Thank you, Tyler. Senator Patrick Leahy just released a statement saying he is both shocked and saddened by what investigators have found. He is concerned for the people of the Northeast Kingdom, and his thoughts are with the families impacted by the situation. Leahy considers the allegations to be extremely serious.
As a part of the SEC investigation, owners of the resorts will not be able to run their own properties. Video journalist Alex Paddock traveled to Jay today to speak to the man who is now in charge.
J-Peak was open for business today even as news of this SEC investigation into its finances became public. The only difference is that a Kansas City, Missouri firm is now managing J-Peak. They will do so as long as the SEC investigation continues, and they say that day-to-day operations will not be affected.
All that's happened is, for a temporary period of time at least, control has been exchanged. So it's no different than if I owned the hotel and I decided to hire a management company one day to help me operate this property. That's basically what's happened.
The SEC complaint also includes the EB5 ANC Bio in Newport. Although trenches were being dug today at the site, the SEC says more work should have been done considering how much was invested in the project. Although the two resorts will continue to operate as normal, Bill Stanger and Ari Quiros will not be able to have any say in the resort's operations.
We work directly for Mike Goldberg. Mike is the receiver on the project, and we're accountable to Mike, and Mike is accountable to the court.
Reporting for the Vermont Center for Community Journalism, I'm Alex Paddock in J.
Officials at the mountain aren't saying much tonight, but residents have plenty to say about what has been going on. News 7's Victor Mwangi was in Burke today and joins us live now from East Burke Village with more.
Thank you, Abby. Now, life is going on as normal as possible here at East Burke Village, despite all that has happened in the last 24 hours just up the road at Q-Burke Mountain Resort. Mountain officials have offered little to no comment on the SEC investigation or the state civil suit, but they're saying business is going on as usual. All is quiet at Burke Mountain today, which is fairly typical for this time of year. General Manager Mike Popolato said he was instructed not to talk to the media about the current situation, but did say that day-to-day operations at the mountain are not being affected. Residents, however, were more than willing to talk.
Well, it's good to hear that the state's definitely taking action by closing down the offices and doing a further investigation. I don't think it's quite right what's been going on at the mountain.
People are already upset with the whole situation of, they kind of booted all the locals that work there out, and they try to make it all better and add the hotel, and that's great for the jobs, but now there's no jobs. So
for Jim Payton, the situation hits close to home. His son was recently laid off by the resort.
He's unemployed, and like many others I hear. So
General Manager Mike Popolato instructed by Ari not to speak with the media, and it's business as usual. Bike trails aren't open anyway, and maintenance work still continues. Normally, at this time of the year, there is a skeleton crew, but this is due to between seasons. Now, almost a month ago, the total number of people that have been laid off has added up close to 200. However, residents are no stranger to the ongoing situation that has taken place. The town will continue to move forward just as Q-Burke Mountain feel they should. Reporting live from East Burke, I'm Victor Mwangi. Back to you.
Residents were not the only ones with a reaction to the situation at Burke Mountain. Lieutenant Governor Phil Scott issued this statement earlier today. He said, "It is imperative we determine whether or not all laws have been followed. At a minimum, there appears to be a significant lack of oversight on this project."
Vermont Senator Patrick Leahy, who was a large supporter for the EB5 program just a few years ago, is now one of the officials calling out for program reform. Senators all over the country voiced their opinions on EB5 in Washington, D.C. yesterday at a congressional hearing. The hearing was supposed to take place over a week ago and was postponed hours before a search of Q-Burke Mountain Resort the very next day. Leahy's main concern is that wealthier parts of the nation are benefiting from the program when the purpose of the EB5 program is to help rural economies like the Northeast Kingdom.
I think it's safe to say EB5 faces an uphill battle in the Congress, in both parties, unless it's reformed.
The really important thing here is making sure that the program is maximized in its effectiveness of attracting capital and creating jobs in this country. That means getting the investment levels right, as I've discussed in my written testimony, and it also means addressing the capacity problem that we have.
My request of this committee and also of our side, Mr. Chairman, is let's take what works and give it a new lease on life. Let's fix what's obviously broken.
The U.S. Senate agreed to make revisions to EB5 legislation by September 30th.
The EB5 program in Vermont started in 1997 with the hopes of creating jobs and tourism. Foreign investors pledge $500,000 and then apply for an EB5 visa. And if approved, they receive a 2-year green card. News 7's Alexa Richard picks up the story now by telling us what happened when plans for an EB5 expansion at Burke Mountain came into play.
In early 2012, Bill Stanger and Ariel Quiros purchased Burke Mountain and solicited EB5 funds. Later that same year, Stanger announced a $108 million investment from EB5 donors, with the addition of 4 new hotels at Burke Mountain within the next 3 years. In the same meeting, it was said close to $600 million will be spent at Burke Mountain, Jay Peak, and Newport Center. In May 2013, residents voiced their concerns about the Act 250 permitting for Q-Burke projects. In July 2014, construction crews began pouring concrete for the $55 million hotel project, which was expected to be done by December 2014. But that didn't happen, as construction for the project was at least 1 year behind schedule. Despite the delays, in October 2015, Q-Burke held a job fair looking to fill the 300 new positions. A week later, Peak CM President Jerry Davis threatened to shut down the project if payments were not received. On November 7, 2015, some late payments to Davis were approved by the state, but they refused to authorize money for the hotel fixtures. A week later, Stanger was positive about the December 2015 opening despite the delays. A short time after that, an email from the resort confirmed the hotel opening was delayed until January 15th. In March of this year, the EB5 hotel project was still not open, and the state paperwork revealed Peak CM was owed $5.5 million. The state claimed it was an issue between Q-Burke and Peak CM, and not the state. The resort laid off nearly 200 employees that same month and said the latest opening date would be in June of 2016. But given the most recent developments, that is still uncertain. Reporting for the Vermont Center for Community Journalism, I'm Alexa Richard.
And now Felicia Woody joins us with the first look at our forecast. The sun stayed out all day. Can we expect the same for the rest of the week?
Well, Abby, I think we can guarantee that the sunshine is going to be lasting through today and through the next several days. Looking out towards Burke, right now we're seeing that beautiful blue sky. Hope some of you guys out there were able to enjoy this nice April day. Current conditions all across the area. You can still see areas in the upper 40s to lower 50s. Overall, very comfortable, very average for this time of year. And for your evening planner for tonight, expect it to get down a little chilly, so make sure you bring out a jacket if you head out tonight for any plans, but expect those skies to stay pretty clear and 35 degrees by 11 o'clock. And coming up in my full forecast, I'm going to talk about how long these sunny skies and warm temperatures will stick around and even into the weekend. And unfortunately, we do have a small rain chance that could happen. I'll let you know all about that coming up in just a few minutes. Back to you.
Thank you, Felicia. Coming up, find out how the work camp is being affected after a worker escaped last night.
And repairs are underway at one local town hall. We will tell you where next.